Happy Monday, everybody. I'm Gloria Moraga. It is May 12th, 2025. Here's a question for you. Is the Federal Reserve secretly freaking out about Trump's tariffs?
My colleagues and I remain squarely focused on achieving our dual mandate goals of maximum employment and stable prices for the benefit of the American people.
I'm Gloria Moraga, political woman. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I appreciate it. I'm aiming for an increase in my subscribers, and I've set a goal of 30,000 by the end of the summer. We'll see how it goes. I'll keep you posted, or you can just look at my numbers. All right. The Federal Reserve. Is the Fed freaking out?
Despite heightened uncertainty, the economy is still in a solid position. The unemployment rate remains low, and the labor market is at or near maximum employment. Inflation has come down a great deal, but has been running somewhat above our 2% longer-run objective.
So no, he doesn't sound like it. The dude's on track, right? He makes me feel calmer, that's for sure.
In support of our goals, today the Federal Open Market Committee decided to leave our policy interest rate unchanged. The risks of higher unemployment and higher inflation appear to have risen, and we believe that the current stance of monetary policy leaves us well positioned to respond in a timely way to potential economic developments.
Here's a quote from the New York Times. The Fed Chair, Jerome Powell, warns that if the large tariff increases announced so far by the Trump administration continue, they are likely to generate a rise in inflation, a slowdown in economic growth, and an increase in unemployment. When you combine those three things, I'm no longer quoting now, that leads to stagflation. And, quote, Powell has warned that while the inflationary effects could be short-lived, they could also be more persistent. Here's the soundbite.
We understand that our actions affect communities, families, and businesses across the country. Everything we do is in service to our public mission. We at the Fed will do everything we can to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals.
All right, back to the quote from the New York Times. Americans are spending less at McDonald's. There are fewer container ships expected at the Port of Los Angeles. Procter & Gamble's is raising prices. Have you noticed? I have. And Mattel is shifting production out of China. That's where all our toys come from. And Mattel says it's not going to build a factory here in the United States. Trump got a little pushed out of shape about that. Evidence of the impact of Donald Trump's trade wars is everywhere except, according to economic experts, the data. Here's Jerome Powell again.
If you look at where we are today, we have an economy that, if you look through the sort of distortions in Q1 GDP, you've still got an economy that looks like it's growing at a solid pace. The labor market appears to be solid. Inflation is running just a bit above 2%. So it's an economy that's been resilient and is in good shape. And our policy is sort of modestly or moderately restrictive. It's 100 basis points less restrictive than it was last fall. And so we think that leaves us in a good place to wait and see. We don't think we need to be in a hurry. We think we can be patient. We're going to be watching the data. The data may move quickly or slowly, but we do think we're in a good position where we are to let things evolve and become clearer in terms of what should be the monetary policy response.
A little bit of background. The Fed was established by the Federal Reserve Act. It was signed into law by Woodrow Wilson, December 23rd, 1913. This was a response to the financial panic of 1907. Before that, the United States was the only financial power in the world without a central bank. The Federal Reserve is our central bank, and they're designed to keep us on track and keep us steady.
We've judged that the risks to higher employment and higher inflation have both risen. And this, by the way, of course, is compared to March. So that's what we can say. I don't think we can say, which way this will shake out. I think there's a great deal of uncertainty about for example, where tariff policies are going to settle out, and also when they do settle out, what will be the implications for the economy, for growth, and for employment. I think it's too early to know that. So, I mean, ultimately, we think our policy rate is in a good place to stay as we await further clarity on tariffs and ultimately their implications for the economy.
Yeah, the dude is steady. He really is. His goal, his mandate, and the mandate of the Fed, which includes bankers and financial people from a number of institutions in this country, maximum employment, stable prices, and moderate long-term interest rates. And Powell and the Fed are staying on mission.
I think the underlying inflation picture is good. It's what you see, which is inflation now running a bit above 2%. And we've had basically decent readings in housing services and non-housing services, which is a big part of it. So that part, I think, is moving along well. But there's just so much that we don't know. I think, and we're in a good position to wait and see, is the thing. We don't have to be in a hurry. The economy has been resilient and is doing fairly well. Our policy is well positioned. The costs of waiting to see further are fairly low, we think. So that's what we're doing. And, we'll see. The administration is entering into negotiations with many countries over tariffs. We'll know more with each week and month that goes by where tariffs are going to land, and we'll know what the effects will be when we start to see those things. So we think we'll be learning. I can't tell you how long it will take, but for now it does seem like it's a fairly clear decision for us to wait and see and watch.
Before Trump became president, we had the most stable, the best economy in the world. Honestly, it was a miracle what happened after the pandemic, after the panic that Trump created in his first presidency. Joe Biden, if he did nothing else, calmed down the markets and we flourished financially, although nobody seemed to recognize that, except for a few of us.
But we think right now the appropriate thing to do is to wait and see how things evolve. There's so much uncertainty. If you talk to businesses or market participants or forecasters, everyone is just waiting to see how developments play out, and then we'll be able to make a better assessment of what the appropriate path for monetary policy is. So we're not in that place, and as that develops, and I can't really give you a time frame on that.
Jerome Powell is a serious man, and he is doing his best to keep things under control and to keep us all calm. This is not a serious man. Trump is not a serious person. Why is he so critical of Jerome Powell? Now, here's a soundbite. It's not his worst attack on Powell, but it is his most recent. This was after the Fed held steady and decided not to lower interest rates. And this happened on May 7th. And here's Trump's reaction.
Federal Reserve Chairman, Mr. President, says that you would have to call him for a meeting. Do you plan to meet with him? And what do you think about?
And it's like talking to a wall. He should be.
The Bank of England cut today.
Well, the Bank of England cut, China cut, everybody's cutting but him. It's I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's a shame. I call him Too Late. Too Late Powell. That's his nickname, and it's a shame. It's ridiculous. So meeting, he's always too late.
All right. So bottom line, Trump wants the Fed to lower interest rates. And I'm not an expert on this stuff. I like covering it. I always like covering the federal budget. And that's what I did when I worked in Washington for 10 years. But here's the thing. We're uncertain. Nobody's certain because he keeps changing his mind every day. On Friday, before the big meeting in Switzerland this weekend, Trump said, well, I might change the tariffs on China to this. Now it's late Sunday night, early Monday morning as I write this and produce this and record this. And we've got Trump, the White House, releasing a statement that there's been a deal with China. The reason that I put this information, kind of buried it in this video, was because I wasn't sure what was going to happen with the negotiations. And the White House released a statement earlier, but I was waiting for confirmation from a second, more reliable source. And I just got it. And the BBC has posted this. And here's the headline. Live, U.S. and China reach agreement to slash tariffs by 115%. Okay. So they're slashing the tariffs that Trump had put on China. It was some ridiculous number. I'm not even going to go into it. Now they've come to an agreement to slash that other figure to 115%. And then here's another post from that story. It's a larger cut than expected, but 30% is still a high tariff. Yes! That's why the White House is going, oh, wow, we have a deal with China. But still, there's a 30% tariff on China. I'm going to post a short on this, so I'll have that posted on the site, on my YouTube Shorts feed.
Hi, Chair Powell. Thanks for taking our questions today. I'm Jolene Kent with CBS News. You've said wait and see, and the economy is doing fine today, but the impact of tariffs are already showing up at the ports. Businesses big and small are telling us that they feel it, and most importantly, consumers say they feel it, that the challenges are here, and there's no waiting and seeing. For Main Street, what is the breaking point? What would have to happen to prompt a rate cut specifically?
Well, you know, so we really don't see in the data yet big economic effects. We see sentiment, there are concerns that higher prices may be coming or things like that. So they're worried now about inflation. They're worried about the, a shock from the tariffs, but they really haven't. That shock hasn't hit yet. Okay, so we're going to be looking at the not just the sentiment data, but also the real economic data as we assess what it is we should do. And remember, there'll be two effects. One of them would be weakening economic activity, which translates into higher unemployment, and the other would be potentially higher inflation. Again, to say it again, the timing, the scope, the scale, and the persistence of those effects are very, very uncertain. So it's not at all clear what the appropriate response for monetary policy is at this time. And and by the way, our policy is in a good place, so we think we can wait and move when it is clear what the right thing to do is. Really not at all clear what it is we should do. So people are feeling stress and concern, but unemployment hasn't gone up. Job creation is fine. Wages are in good shape. People are not layoffs, or people are not getting laid off at high levels. Initial claims for unemployment are not increasing, in any kind of impressive way. So the economy itself is still, in solid shape.
Just a quick follow-up. President Trump now says he does not plan to remove you as chair. When you heard that, what did you think?
I don't have anything more for you on that. I've pretty much covered that issue. Thank you.
So that's that. The Federal Reserve will not meet again until December 18th, and then we'll know then on December 18th, a little more than a month, what they're going to do next. I'm Gloria Moraga, political woman. I hope you have found some worth in this podcast, in this post. I am Gloria Moraga. Please subscribe. I need your support heading toward the large number of 30,000 subscribers by the end of the summer 2025. Post every day. Please join me and please follow me. Be safe.